All right, I'm going to call the Planning and, thank you very much, the Brentwood Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Wednesday, August 14th, 2024 to order. If you would please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Next order of business is roll call. Jessica, if you don't mind.
Mr. Nolan? Ms. Waring?
Here.
Ms. Bilderback?
Here.
Mr. Foreman?
Here.
Mr. Moore?
Here.
Here. And Chair Nelson?
Here, thank you very much. We have quorum. Next item of business is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Any objection to approval by acclamation? Seeing none, the agenda is approved. The minutes for the May 8th, 2024 Planning and Zoning meeting have been, sorry? Yep, July. All right, I remember that. What was the date again? July 10th. Thank you. Let me rephrase. The minutes from the July 10th, 2024 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting have been distributed. Has everyone had a chance to review those? Any alterations or changes needed? Seeing none, any objection to, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second, there we go. We have a second. Objection to approval by acclamation. Seeing none, the minutes stand approved. Next item of business, do we have any citizens wishing to address the commission on items not on the agenda this evening? Online, anyone? There we go. Well, I'll make it a little easier. Please do let me know if someone joins. We'll make sure to check. Next item of business then is old business. First is Planning and Zoning 2408. This is the facade and parking lot improvements at 8031 Litzinger Road for Carboline Global Incorporated. Is the petitioner, the petitioner or their representative here this evening? Yes, sir. If you could state your name and address for the record, and then just tell us a little bit about where we are this evening.
Yeah, my name is Jake Mellenbrook. Address of the facility or?
Facility's fine.
Yeah, 8031 Litzinger Road. So thank you guys all for taking your time to be here this evening. Just a recap from the last time we all talked, in 2022, Carboline experienced a historic flood, which caused a considerable amount of damage to their facility. At that time, the corporate team at Carboline decided it was time to reinvest in their research and development facility down there. The property line that we're looking at today on Litzinger is the property side that faces their training center. And they're hoping to redevelop this area in hopes to bring more customers and more value to the neighborhood that they're in down in Brentwood Industrial Court. The main changes you'll see if you refer to page 1 and 2 of the staff report. As you can see now, existing, it's a pretty plain facade. The existing parking lot doesn't have a whole lot of features to it. If you flip to the second page, some of the additions that we're looking to do is to move the parking spaces further onto the property line, add more ADA parking spaces, bring more green space to the parking lot, some more plants and trees. The facade consists of a Trespa panel system. It's an architectural sheet metal system on the top half with a new bay window, and the bottom half would be kind of like a plaster system. And then the shade structure you see in the front is a pergola. One of the main reasons that we discussed last time that we had a pergola instead of a canopy system was that structural facade, because of the age of the building, is not structurally strong enough to hold a canopy system across it, so they went with a pergola system instead. But yeah, other than that, we're just here to hopefully,
I think as we had discussed last time that it needed to go to the Board of Adjustment. My understanding is that Board of Adjustment has approved the pergola. Is that all right? Let's go to staff report, please. Ms. Kelly.
Yes, as the applicant has indicated at the July meeting, the discussion included the facade improvements. The direction also included providing screening for the rooftop equipment, which they have now shown in the revised materials as part of the staff report. And then they also clarified that no light will be leaving the property. There's some minor spillage, but the planning, our consultant with PDS, Planning Design Studio, felt that it was sufficient. This is the rooftop screening you have here. The Board of Adjustment did approve the modifications to the site and the pergola. And therefore, we're here to seek your approval for the changes to the building.
If I recall correctly, I think the commission had comments that this was a significant improvement, and we appreciated the work had been done. Do any other questions from members of the commission this evening? Seeing none, any members of the public wishing to address the commission on this application? Chair would entertain a motion. Everyone's shy tonight. Ms. Bilderbeck.
Mr. Chairman, the commission has done such a fine job working with the applicant on this, and with that said, I would like to recommend approval of this application as submitted tonight to the Board of Aldermen.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Schering. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Nolan?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Foreman?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Hunt?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Look forward to seeing this completed.
Thank you, guys.
So this will go to the Board of Aldermen
Yep.
on Monday, August 19th.
So, right, yeah, obviously P&Z is a recommendation to the Board of Aldermen. They're the ones who get the final vote. So just to make sure that everyone's aware of that. All right, next item of business is P&Z 24014. This is a comprehensive sign plan for the shopping center at 8500 Manchester Road. Is the petitioner or their representative here? If you could, again, please state your name for the record and your address.
I'm Michael Schutte, and I'm here for the 8500 to 8518 Manchester.
Thank you very much.
We were here a month ago, and then we went to another meeting that we worked on some, after the discussion at the month ago meeting, we came up with an order or resolution or instructions to come up with a better plan on it, to tweak it a little bit. And we came up with three things. One of the things is on the building, it has a Budweiser sign on it. We took that off in one of our pictures, and we got that to you. And then we worked out a problem where when a tenant has more than one space and they still have a sign up above it, that they don't automatically get 3 signs that say Mike's Restaurant. They get 1 sign that says Mike's Restaurant, and then if he's got 2 on each side, then he might get a little decoration, nothing with words in it, but more of just kind of like a copy of a logo. And so I made up a copy of one of our tenants there, Time for Dinner, and they got on their website, they had a little logo, but so I just stepped and repeated it. It's just it actually makes it look kind of nice, and draws your eye to the one Time for Dinner. So we made those 2 changes to the building, and then we talked about the sign and how to get the address onto the sign, and have it be functional and look good. And since we were asking for a comprehensive sign plan that goes against it's different from the sign code, where sign code says it can be 60 inches tall, 5 feet. We're struggling with getting our 12 tenants on there, or 12 spaces marked on there, and came up with an idea either to put the address off to the side or to put it up on top like this, unsided, read vertically, and it's just not hard, easy. Anyway, we walked away from that with the idea that to come up with this additional drawing that would show it's 9 inches taller than 5 feet. It's 69 inches tall, and it's only it's in the middle. It doesn't go all the way across the top, the 9 inches, so it shouldn't affect the sign shouldn't be a safety hazard, and it actually turns out making it easy to read going up and down the street, having that on both sides. So we submitted this drawing and these pictures for your consideration and blessing, so we can move forward and putting a sign on the property and have a plan that everybody would be happy with in Brentwood here. So,
Thank you, Mr. Schutte. Site plan, please, Ms. Kelly. Thank you.
So, yes, at the previous meeting, it was referred to the site plan subcommittee with regard to the monument sign and the tenant signage for the main commercial strip at the back. Similar to what was provided and worked out with a recent application at 1234 Hanley Industrial Court, we worked out similar language that the tenants within the building at 8502 through 8518 Manchester is allowed to utilize the entire sign area over the main entrance to that tenant space. Any additional sign elements for that tenant is limited to striping, decorative elements, or a smaller logo to identify the breadth of the tenant space, provided that the negative space is a matte black, as demonstrated in the revised drawings. The applicant has indicated that all of the signs for that building would be the matte black with white lettering. So we've add that in there. And Commissioner Foreman can relay the information, but the site plan subcommittee also felt that since the outlot building where Blue City Athletics is, that can just meet the normal sign regulation. It did not need to be the matte black since it was an outlier. There was discussion of, this is what was discussed at the site plan subcommittee, is either including it at the side to maintain the overall height at 5 feet or to add it at the top. The applicants are requesting it at the top. So if
And the
Thank you, Ms.
placement
Kelly.
of the sign is still,
this placement of sign is still where it was originally proposed, which is 3 feet from the sidewalk of the new MoDOT right-of-way. That is in the prior staff report. I can propose that. And then we've also included that the non-conforming roof sign shall be removed. Now, the changes to the tenant signage would only be when there's new tenants. We indicated that since Time for Dinner was still in there, they wouldn't have to change their signage at this time, but it would apply to any new tenants. And if Time for Dinner were to leave, then they would do the same.
And I believe it's largely compliant anyways in terms of the coloration, is that correct?
Right.
Okay.
So, and then all landscaping is to be maintained per the drawings reviewed at the Planning and Zoning Commission on July 10th, including the MoDOT improvements that were completed in the public right-of-way in front of their space in accordance with Section 400-1730.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. Mr. Foreman, anything else to add? I apologize, I wasn't able to make site plan subcommittee, but
it was just me and Whitney, so.
one of the challenges during the busy vacation-ridden summer season, so.
I think the one piece to note is, with the exception of the placement, the monument sign would have been completely conforming with the vertical lettering, because what we would have done, it would be shorten the amount of space available for the names. But the owners choosing their own design to put that piece at the top, so that 9-inch height is the piece that makes the actual sign
Non-conforming.
non-conforming.
Other than location. Staff report has it on the side? Is that what, okay. Ah, understood. Understood. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Kelly. Any other questions? Absolutely, Mr.
Thank you,
Moore.
Mr. Chairman. Is it my imagination, or at 5'9", does that include the concrete feet that the sign is sitting on or not?
No,
Okay,
and then 4 feet
got it. So the one below it, the base is taller?
No, it's
The ground's right at the bottom of that red thing.
Yeah, those black, I believe,
This is in the
Those
ground.
are footings? Okay.
You can see,
I was also wondering
I
about
thought
that.
they were stilts.
That's,
Sorry.
yep.
Yeah, that's all right. This question's answered. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Any other questions? Members of the commission? Mr. Hunt, please.
So I still have an issue with the length of the sign creating a nonconformance with the setback requirement, given that it's a 12-foot sign. In the recent past, when we've accommodated these requests into the setback, it's been because it's more or less infeasible for a smaller sign to be placed in the landscaped common area there. And here, that doesn't appear to be the case. If they shorten the width, it would be compliant, so.
12 feet, correct me if I'm wrong in the calculation. The 12 feet is actually compliant with the ordinance for this building.
And placing it 10 feet back would make it almost non-viable in terms of visibility. Yep, yep. Mr. Hunt, any other questions there? I understand the concern.
That's it.
Thank you. Any other questions from members of the commission? Any members of the public wishing to address the commission on this application? Seeing none, is there a motion?
Question, do we need to modify the motion for the extra 9 inches at the top? Or is that already?
Is as submitted. Ms. Bilderbeck?
Just a point of clarification, just to make sure everybody's on the same page. On the current staff report, on page 4 of 6, at the bottom, under conclusion and action, the monument sign is number 2. So anyone making a motion would want to include all of the conditions on that page in the next page, presuming that you concur with them, that the planning staff outlined based on prior discussions, and that number 2 on page 4 would be the one that if you wanted to make any changes, you would change when you made the motion. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Appreciate the clarification. Is there a motion?
I move to recommend the approval of a comprehensive sign plan for shopping center addressed 8500 Manchester Road as presented in the staff report, including all actions 1 through 7 listed in the document and discussed in the August 14th Planning and Zoning Commission.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Sharing. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Nolan?
Yes.
Ms. Schering?
Yes.
Ms. Bilderbeck?
Yes.
Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Hunt?
And again, this will be referred to the Board of Aldermen next meeting, which is, Ms. Kelly, again? August 19th. Thank you very much. Next item of business is P and Z 24018. This is facade improvements to the building and a comprehensive sign plan for the property at 9110 Manchester Road, also addressed as 9116 Manchester Road. Is the applicant or their representative here?
Hello, my name is Chris Henson. I'm with Dial Architects. We're the architect for Murray's Goodwill in this project. Our goal here is to update the exterior modifications to include something not only nicer for Manchester, but matches also the new design that Goodwill's starting to do throughout the rest of their stores with new brick and awnings, canopies. I'm here to answer any questions you guys have.
Excellent. That would be appreciated. We'll turn over to staff report then. You're welcome to sit back down if we do have questions, if you'd come back to the podium because this is recorded. Appreciate it. So, Ms. Kelly, staff report, please.
Are also not showing a
So the original pylon sign was located there. You know, it's been there for a while. We don't propose to remove that at this time. If there's, if there's anything that you guys recommend us do with that, then I'll go back to the owner. But at this time, he wants to keep it.
Thank you.
out taking the site photographs, you can see
Ms. Kelly, can you go over, I think there was some interest in those specific sign dimensions again. So basically front-facing, what is proposed and what is permitted, just to make sure we have those dimensions, again, the three signs.
So drawing shows a 48 square foot wall sign on the front elevation,
Mm-hmm.
where the building is 68
Thank you. And then we have one on the side, yep.
The side is a
East.
47.7 square foot wall sign for the east elevation, where the
As opposed to about 70 that would be permitted without comprehensive sign plan. Okay. Yeah.
which would be approximately
All right, Mr. Henson, a question real quick is, can you explain, and then I'll turn it to the commission as well, the reasoning behind having the window sign rather than basically a copy of the sign on the east elevation?
Up above the window.
Yes, that basically is above the window that allows for the transparency there.
So we wanted to block out that window. We just wanted it there for the architectural element that it provides on that side and let some light in through there. But also, they're going to also have some, hangers and, items in that window that we don't necessarily want the public to see from the outside.
Okay, understood. All right, I'll open it up to members of the commission. Looks like Mr. Foreman is already ready.
Building on that one, is that actually going to be vision glass with a film, or are you doing spandrel?
It'll be a film, a visual glass with film.
So in the future, if they moved out, somebody could strip that and have a window?
Correct.
Okay. On the front accent brick, it's not integral. Is that a stain, or is this just representative?
That's the actual brick sample. Well, obviously, it's going to be a full width brick, but it's not integral. That's the best I have. So, it's not going to be a stain. It just comes like that. So, I guess I don't know if it's stained or not, to be honest with you.
Because it's dark like an iron spot, but
Yes.
that's typically a premium cost. So it looks like there's an application of color instead of just the integral masonry color. So
They're using that in Winsville right now, and they seem to like it. So it's gonna, we'll see over time what it does after it gets, if it gets damaged or whatever. But we're hoping that it stands.
So to build on the chairman's question, the existing building does have a sign on the west. Is that being relocated or just removed? That one.
No, there's going to be a new one. So that, I don't know what the size of that existing one is, and I don't think that you're going to plan on reusing that one.
But that's being removed. It's not. We
It's
don't
being
need to
removed.
add it to the calculation.
yes.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Other questions? Ms. Bilderback?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just sort of feeling like it's a sign fiesta, like the signs just sort of threw up all over the building. Like the pole sign has to go because it's been several decades that we eliminated pole signs. The last pole sign that was installed was the Home Depot sign back in the 90s.
Okay.
The commission spent like 10 years working with the business community on sign plan changes, and the pole signs were eliminated. So anytime anyone comes in to do any major renovation or is proposing doing something with their signage, that's like step one. So I just want to make it clear that what you're asking for here and understanding that Goodwill does good things for the community and all of that. At the same time, understand that what you're asking for here on this comprehensive sign plan is like way beyond, like way, way beyond. I'm still trying to process it a little bit, but I just wanted to throw that out there, particularly related to the pole sign. But I feel like there's too much signage. The window sign is huge. And I appreciate the idea of putting an architectural element on it, but I'm not a fan of that, like myself. So I'm going to pause there and put a pin in it and let other people talk.
Thank you, Ms. Bilderback. One question again, Mr. Henson, is the awning that I see in the current pictures, will that be removed with the new design?
Yes.
All right, just making sure. Thank you. Other questions from members of the commission? Please, Mr. Nolan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let's talk about the pole sign for a minute. When I first read this, I assumed the pole sign was going away, but I'm not sure that it has to. What's the reasoning for keeping it? Does it identify parking or
The pylons, or the ADA
the
spot,
the
ADA pole,
the pole sign?
the pylon? That, no, it doesn't identify parking, it just gives them more of a presence, driving up Manchester through there, so they can see it from a little bit of ways away. It's been there for a while, they didn't plan on getting rid of it, but they are, if that's what the board wants to recommend.
Do you
I can
know
bring
when
back
it
to
was
them.
last updated? Because it
Sign?
looks like the new logo.
I don't know that, I don't know the answer. The ADA sign will be removed. Surprised that MoDOT didn't do it.
Chair.
Yep, sorry, anything else, Mr. Nolan? Sorry, anything else? Sorry. Mr. Foreman.
So to build on this, it does feel like this is kind of breaking out in two things, like the architectural elements of the building, and I completely agree with the sign fest. So, but if you look at the front elevation versus the two different side elevations, on the west side, I know you're showing the film on the windows, but you've actually, the way it's set up, you've got spandrel low on both the front and the east, that bottom panel. Is the bottom panel on the west also spandrel? So thinking about this long-term, 20 years from now, somebody strips off the graphic, you guys have moved out, what's left? Is it a consistent storefront across the whole property? And it doesn't look like the west is consistent with the north and the east.
I understand that. The reason behind why we didn't was that side's built way off of grade, so we didn't feel that it was from a design standpoint was as required as the other side. The other side is going to be close to grade. There's going to be a lot of dirt getting kicked up, snow, all that stuff. So that's the reasoning behind that. And it also follows the similar designs that we've done for them.
I think it's a deal breaker, it's just a consideration. The grade is a valid point. If it were spandrel, it would reduce the amount of square footage of sign you were asking for, though.
West elevation you're talking about?
Yeah.
Reduce the size of the window.
Right. Architecturally, I think it's a vast improvement to what's there. So clearly, the building itself is being upgraded, but the sticky point is the signage.
Just if I could dig in a little, thank you, Mr. Foreman. Anything else?
No,
Sorry.
thank you.
Understanding the concern about the parapet, just want to make sure I understand, and I'm looking at the elevations properly. Parapet is only front-facing. It is only on the north elevation, is that correct? I was, from the elevation from the rear, it seemed like it was almost a side. It was curving, or sorry, it was wrapping around. Okay. So basically, it's false storefront is what we're looking at.
It returns back towards where the existing structure is today.
So
So it does return a little bit.
Yeah, I had wrong street in mind. That's why. Okay.
I would humbly suggest that I would prefer to see what they have. A lot of times when we push this and people try to solve it, they just put a sloped piece of roof back there. I think this looks better.
Oh, that parapet?
Yeah. I'd rather see what they have than have a sloped piece of TPO roof going up at a 45-degree angle just to say they don't.
And it's
see
not-
the
it's
back of
not
the
visible.
parapet.
What we've done in the past in this similar situation is we've left the rear part of that CMU exposed and just painted it to match the brick. We just brought the TPO up to a place where you wouldn't be able to see it from the street.
Sorry, TPO is the vinyl roofing membrane. I forget, sorry.
Other questions from members of the commission? Bilderback.
I'm ready to pull my pin out now. So I think if we could do something different, and this is just my opinion, related to that window with the giant sign, because that whole window is a sign, and it's really, really huge. It's almost like putting a billboard, to me, on the side of the building. I'd rather see, like, if you want some light to come through, and the architects can help me on this, but some sort of a tinted glass rather than a sign. And I'd rather see just a regular sign up above it, but not necessarily as large of a sign as you have, like, maybe on the other side. But I think that the front signage works, even though it's really, really large. Given that parapet wall, I think that works. And if you get rid of the pole sign, I think then that would work. With the pole sign, like, I would be completely opposed to any of this, to be honest, other than the building changes.
Okay.
And I don't have the same concern about the, right. And I do like the architectural changes, obviously. And I would have a question about, and maybe Mr. Foreman could help with this as well, but like related to that brick and the durability of it with the color imprinted onto it versus it being part of the actual brick itself, if that's something we need to talk about for the long term as well.
I would share that I share that concern, except there is an entire industry that stains masonry for a living. So it's kind of like getting your house repainted. If it starts looking bad and we can tag it in an inspection, they could be required to re-stain it.
And then I guess the question would be, then how would code enforcement do over time successfully with being able to get that properly maintained? I know the code enforcement can be a challenge, not being critical, just understanding the breadth of the community and the aging of some of the buildings and facilities.
I'd comment on that the applicant is here voluntarily wanting to make improvements to have their property look better. And
Right.
so I think that is a demonstration to me that that they will in fact maintain it going forward, that at least that there's a willingness to make sure that the property looks appropriate going forward.
And really the odds that they're going to move, I think, would be pretty low because they've been here forever. I mean, I've been here since '92 and they've been here longer than I've been here. So I think I feel a little bit better about that. So it would be something that would be maintainable, at least.
Correct.
Okay.
The odds are just as good that somebody's going to decide they've got a new logo that's red and they're going to paint all the brick. You know, who knows?
Right. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I would echo Ms. Bilderback's concern about the window sign. I think that I agree with her that the front sign, despite being very large, works with parapet. I would point out that one of the comments raised in staff report is, comprehensive sign plan basically allows you to break the normal rules, but we also have to consider a question of competitiveness and fairness for the folks who are following the rules or for other comprehensive sign plans. I would question, thinking about a similar sign on the west elevation that is on the east elevation, but I would also make a strong recommendation to reduce the total square footage of this. When we're talking about, it's almost double what would be allowed. Recognizing that the request is made to remove the ground sign, the freestanding sign, and I guess I would say to mitigate that, to provide some visibility from the east and west of what the business is, that it certainly could be larger than the 25 feet allowed, but doubling that size seems to make an anti-competitive environment, and I think is a little too much for me. So
Are you saying reducing the sign on the east elevation?
Yeah, east and west, again, and not in half, but right now, again, it's 47.7, I believe is correct, square feet, and 25 is what is allowed. So just consider a reduction and what that could be, and then mirroring that on the other elevation. Sorry, Mr. Moore, I'm sorry.
Can you clarify something really
Yep.
quick? I want to make sure that the applicant understood, because when you circled back to say it,
Sorry.
when you're talking about reducing the size on the west side, you had said to get rid of the window sign on the west side, put in a sign similar to the east side on the west side, and then both of those would be reduced. That's what you're saying.
That is
I-
correct.
I
Thank
just
you
wanted
for
to make sure
summarizing,
that
Ms.
everyone
Bilderbeck.
understood.
That's my understanding.
As well as sign is 48,
Yep.
where 20
It's allowed. Understood, and I would say that though I share I agree with Ms. Bilderback that with the parapet size, I believe it looks appropriately scaled on this elevation. So understanding again that they're asking for an exception. Mr. Moore, I believe you had a question or a comment.
Ms. Bilderback addressed the question.
I confused everyone, it sounds like. Gotta follow along, Chuck.
Didn't mean to jump on you, Mr. Moore.
I'm hurt.
Other questions from the commission? Mr. Nolan?
I do have one question. Are the signs illuminated at all?
Good question.
So, sign that's facing north, that, I guess that'll be visible from the neighborhood across the street, or?
I
Rock Church, right?
Basically Carl's Drive-In.
Rock
entrance
Church,
to
yeah.
Bremerton
Bremerton there, but there's no houses right there, right?
on the one side.
Yeah. Good question, though.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else from the commission? Any members of the public wishing to address the commission on this application? We've discussed a lot. I guess my question here is, do we have a consensus, or do we have is anyone willing to put forward a motion given all of that we've discussed this evening? Sorry, Ms. Kelly, please. Yeah.
lowering the signs.
Yeah. Yeah. Rather than a motion.
Specific size.
We still need a motion to continue it, I believe, but yes. Does that seem to be the will of the commission, I guess, is what I'm looking for. Seeing that. Ms. Bilderback.
I mean, just to summarize, like for the applicant, and then you all can tell me if just to bring it all together, and if I've missed something or misstate something, let me know. So, remove the pole sign. The front-facing north elevation sign size is okay. Is that correct? East side sign, as the chairman outlined, it would be great if it could be something a little bit more moderated in size. On the west side, the window sign would go, and some other way of having the windows not be see-through to accommodate what you want could be put into place, with a similar sign to the east elevation placed on that west elevation, again with that same size reduction in mind, or slight moderation that the chairman was talking about. And was it the accessible sign is going to be removed for the parking space that no longer is accessible? And Mr. Foreman, am I missing something that we talked about on the architectural aspect?
There's, I think the issue of the graphic on the west glazing is probably superseding what they're gonna do with the actual glass. Either they're gonna have a spandrel, which is like a metal panel instead of a glass panel at the bottom, or leave it what he's telling us is it's gonna be clear glass from the top all the way to the floor, but they're gonna put a film on it. So if that film happens to have a Goodwill graphic, they're over the sign ordinance. They could put just a black film on there and be compliant.
Yep. Or a blue film, potentially.
That blue would be more like signage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
So the piece at the bottom, either in aluminum or vision glass, I'm not gonna die on that hill. So,
You have correctly summarized, though, what I was, thank you, Ms. Bilderbeck.
Okay, did I miss anything? Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So,
Could we, just to keep this moving along, could we decide on a size today for that elevation that I can submit back to Ms. Kelly? And maybe agree with it that way? Or do you guys think another board meeting is necessary?
so are you asking, having stood where you've stood in other meetings, has your client empowered you to make this level of decision for the design of the building?
I can go back to them recommending a sign size that you guys have recommended.
Okay,
And then
So you're
if they
looking for
say,
some-
no, we want to go back to them again, then I'll reach out and resubmit a package.
that- Yeah,
All understand what size, if they just come back at 47
understood, and I also understand your interest in getting this moving, since I certainly get that. Mr. Moore?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, in simplicity, then why don't we just make it comply with the city code? 20 square feet.
Okay. Yeah.
I think there'll be something in between there, so, yeah.
But do you take that back to the owner?
I will take it back to the owner, but I'll get pushback, I know that, so.
Then I stand corrected.
I think that where, this is my opinion and mine only, that where I was thinking for the east and west elevations would be around 35 square feet. So it would still be greater than what is, or greater than what is allowed by, without code or without a comprehensive sign plan, but also significantly less than what was proposed. So that would be a suggestion,
I agree with that.
not something that is that is in a motion by the commission. However, do we have a motion to carry over? Sorry. It would removed, yeah, no window, yeah, yeah.
No window sign.
So-
All the things, you got all the stuff I summarized earlier, right?
yeah.
So, yeah, so the window sign goes away on the west elevation and gets replaced with a sign like the one on the east elevation, both of which will be a reduced size, of which the chairman has thrown out an example of moderating the sign on each side. The north side is fine. The pole sign goes away, the accessible sign goes away, and the thing at the bottom that Mr. Foreman talked about gets addressed on the west elevation in some fashion. And then the window can be tinted in some other fashion that's not a sign, not blue,
Yep.
like,
Not brand color,
Yeah.
yep. A great summary. Do I have is there a motion to carry over?
so moved.
A motion of a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. That will be carried over to the next Planning and Zoning Commission. Appreciate it. Appreciate all the input this evening and the work done on this. So thank you very
Appreciate it,
much.
guys.
Look forward to the improvements on that building. Next item of business is the aldermanic report. Seeing no aldermen, we will turn to the director's report. Ms. Kelly. I had it. Thank you.
September 11th will be
Ugh,
the continuation of
September
this
11th.
item.
Great.
We have not
Excellent. Great. Thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Or actually, any other business from the commission? Sorry, making sure. And do I have a motion to adjourn? Have a motion, to have a second? We stand adjourned. Thank you very much.